welcome. I'd like to take a moment to talk with everyone about the merch store. The merch store helps to pay staff and the artists. I'd greatly appreciate it if you would come check it out. There's also some really cool merchandise that you might like, and it supports the writers. When somebody sees the name of the book on merchandise, they're going to check out the book, and then they're going to check out the writer's work. And so the writers' names will spread more and more, and maybe they'll get more fans. And that's kind of my hope for this merchandise, that it gets out there and helps. So anyway, without further ado, I'd like to take a look real quick before we get started with today's special guest. So as you can see, I got a Redbubble page, and on that Redbubble page, there's going to be a link in the description. You can see different variations of Book of 42 Squared. So that's the impact title part. The full title of the book is, of course, 42 Stories Anthology Presents, Book of 42 Squared. To get the full thing of that, you can go to this logo, which has the whole thing on there. It's harder to see because of the camera, but if you go to the site, you can kind of close up to it. This says Book of 42 Squared, and here it says 42 Stories Anthology Presents. So you get all of it with this design. And what I recommend doing with each of the designs that are available on Redbubble is that you go view this design on the products available, and so that you can see all of them. You can see that there's like a mouse pad, hats. What else? There's a pet blanket that's really cute, and also, yeah, these are cute as well. What I like is the hat here. I think it came out really well. The shirts are neat too. And what else is kind of neat? There's a lot of stuff. There's a laptop sleeve. Somewhere in here there's tapestry. Now, what I read up about the tapestry that Redbubble sells is that it's kind of like a towel. So that would be your towel, you know. There's cup holsters, blanket, bags, and the mugs are pretty cool. There's also a tall version right here. There's a lot to see on this site, and I hope that you'll come and check them out, check out all the designs. I'm going to continue adding more, yeah, I'll make announcements about that. Okay, without further ado, let's get to our special guest. Hi, welcome to 42 Stories Anthologies interviews. Thanks for joining. Tejaswinee, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Hi. Thanks for having me here.
Excuse me?
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, thank you for joining. Actually, I heard you the first time. I just like hearing it. So this is the cover of the book. It's actually just a model. There's going to be a completed version, and it's a little different. But I wanted to get first impressions from the award winners. What do you think of this so far?
I think it's good. A lot of 42s here. It's interesting.
Oh, yeah, what the artist did was on both, there's 42 pictures on the front and then 42 on the back, and she's taken these photos throughout the years. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, to just look for places where 42 is written or something. It's
it took
the task.
Yeah. This is going to be the logo of the book. I used it for tonight's. Well, I don't think it's nighttime for you in India, but for the interview. This will be the logo on the book, and then I thought I'd use it first here. So yeah, again, welcome. Let's see. So your award was the runner-up and for the mystery category. Oh, it says mystery cat. That's actually kind of cute, but yeah, that should say mystery category. I hope your word you got actually said category, not cat. So,
It did.
good. I think this little thing just kind of fell over on top of it. But yeah, would you and here is the story title. So would you care to share your story?
Definitely.
Thank you.
So the story is, I have Alicia, docs, 11 p.m. tonight, come alone, no police or she dies. Read the text from the stranger. My kitchen smells of burnt muffins. I've only ever known one Alicia, my college girlfriend, and I heard she died last summer.
Yeah, I remember reading it and thinking just there's so much going on in 42 words that you accomplished. You managed to capture the readers and also kind of have an end that could be ambiguous enough for it to be a giant story, but it also concludes. So yeah, you did wonderful in that story. I'm glad we got it in the book. So
Thank you.
that said, could you share a bio of yours?
Sure. So I am a lawyer and I also write. I write poetry and creative nonfiction and obviously fiction. My preference is fiction. And I am the founding editor of a magazine called the Hooghly Review. And recently I've had work fiction published in a Fiery Scribe Review and the Lightning Strikes Anthology by Vinita Mukkil and edited by Vinita Mukkil. And also, I have been nominated for the Pushcart Award. And recently, I made it to the Wigleaf top 50 long list. So that's pretty much about me.
Well, congratulations on all that. Those are all really good
Thank you.
accomplishments. Yeah. It's, yeah, it's rare to get long listed alone, and then you listed so many great accomplishments. I hope that it just keeps getting higher for you.
Thank you.
Uh, that said, where are you?
So I'm in a city called Chandannagar. That's in West Bengal, India. And you can just look it up. It used to be a French colony, so it's pretty kind of famous, I would say. So yeah, it's by the Hooghly River.
Do any people speak French there?
Well, they actually have the French Institute, but they teach French for I think 2 or 3 years,
Hmm.
and it's recognized by one of the universities here.
Oh,
So if someone wants to learn French, they can.
you don't speak French, do you?
No,
Oh, okay.
sadly.
It's a hard language. So, that's interesting. I didn't know that about your town. Where's your writing space?
Anywhere inside my apartment. I don't have a fixed space wherever I'm comfortable, but essentially inside my apartment.
These days that's how it is. Somebody can write from a phone and or a
Hmm.
computer, tablet, and just go anywhere. And I think that's the beauty of technology. It's not like this room
Absolutely.
anymore that you see in the photo. Yeah. But some people like this.
I'm sure they do, but I don't have the luxury to create a space like that right now. So I just adapt.
Well, I think what you have sounds great.
Yeah.
That said, how about an icebreaker question? What are some of your favorite islands and beaches?
Okay, so my favorite beach is on my favorite island, and this is actually the Havelock Island from Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal. And the beach is Radhanagar Beach, and I mean, every time I think of a beach, I mentally go back there. It's so beautiful, and I remember this one moment from the island, not from that particular beach, but from the island, in the middle of the, not the middle of the night, but towards dinner time, I would say. Um, we looked up at the sky, and it was a clear sky, and you just could practically see the entire universe from there. So it is one of the most beautiful memories I'll ever carry.
You have so many details in that someone could hear you describe it without knowing you're a writer and just go, "You're a writer," without you go into the details. That's great. I can see the beach you're describing from how you did that, especially the nighttime part. There's a beautiful beach in Boracay, which is in the Philippines that I remember
Mhm.
at night, like kind of like what you're saying. That's great. Well, about your writing talents, are any of your family members writers too?
Yes, actually, my mom is a writer.
Hmm.
She writes in Bengali.
Oh,
So, yeah, she's written poetry books and short story collections and novels, and she's working on more. And I plan on translating that someday to English. So, yeah.
well, I hope it stays both because languages are beautiful. I study linguistics, so I'm all about hope for all languages to live on. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so both for sure. That said, what are you passionate about when it comes to your writing voice out there?
Well, as far as my writing is concerned, passion and writing, I really do want to continue doing something I enjoy. That's the most important part. I have to enjoy it. As for the larger world perspective, um, I would really hope that people would essentially, if I were to make people stop doing something, I would really hope that people would stop being like so polarized about everything.
Yeah,
Because right now we just do not have the scope for normal dialogue anymore. It's just whichever topic you want to take up, whichever political topic you want to take up, it's just either X or Y. There's no in between. There's no, okay, let's listen to both sides. There are some good points on both sides. Let's have a dialogue. That's not there. So I really hope for more harmony. And hopefully, my writing can, through my writing, I can not establish, sort of, you know, show that, this harmony is possible. Let's try, you know.
yeah, sometimes you can tell another side your view and do it in an educated way. And then it's
Hmm.
still like talking to a wall. They don't hear a single word, and it makes it so hard. And that's where writers like yourself are so important because you can see how the two sides can come together and reach a conclusion that works out for everybody. And
Hmm.
yeah, I hope that you get to share that passion more and more. Yeah, because
Thank you.
it's definitely a good track. Balance is what it's all about, really.
Yeah. And it's rare, very rare. The world is always out of balance.
Yeah. And then the older writers get, a lot of them become bitter, and so don't become one of those writers. Yeah, because then they start siding one way. But yeah, it's great to reach that balance. How do you reach a balance on your editing? Do you edit alone with friends, or do you hire a professional editor?
So I essentially edit alone. After I'm done writing the first draft, I give it a few days to simmer, and then unless and until there's a deadline or something, so I give it a few days to simmer, and then I revisit that writing, and I've seen that I am able to, reduce the unnecessary words and maybe change around a few things. Sometimes I edit, like change a lot of the things. So, like, I have only written short stories until now. I'm yet to, like, short stories in the sense up to 3,000 words max, I think, not above that. So I'm still, maneuvering the um, art of storytelling essentially, and so I'm gradually increasing there. And yeah, editing is, I actually enjoy editing. After the first draft is done, for me the first draft is, completing the first draft, that is more, okay, I have to finish this sort of thing. But after that's done, editing, I most of the time I'll do it alone. And sometimes maybe once or twice, if I have some doubts about some, plot or something, I'll ask a friend, one of my literary friends. It might be um, actually one of my friends is from the US, Francois. I might ask him. He's a terrific writer, Francois Barod. And there's also my editor for the magazine. That's Ankit Rajoja. He's also great. And he's also an English professor, so that helps. And so, yeah, I'll ask friends sometimes. And yeah, I have not hired a professional editor yet.
Oh, so you mentioned deadlines. Do you mean deadlines of a journal, or
Yeah,
personal?
of a journal.
Oh, okay. I see.
Although I would add here that I have seen that my best work comes when I don't look at a submission call and then work on something. It's when I'm just in my own space and I'm working on something, and then I find a suitable submission call where I submit it. But in some cases, for instance, the 42 anthology one, it had to be developed after the call. So that sometimes happens, or maybe a call is very interesting and I want to, get within the deadline. So yeah.
Thanks for that. Yeah, it was there was no deadline as much as there was let's get your story where you like it and where you'll be
Mhm.
happy. What do you think about a rejection and acceptance? How do you deal with both?
Well, first I'll go for the acceptance part. Whenever an acceptance happens, my first instinct is to tell my mom, and my second instinct is to tweet about it. And that's all I do, pretty much. And as for the rejection part, uh, when I got my first rejection, I did not write or submit anything for the next 6 months. That was like, oh my God, it's a rejection. But
Hmm.
eventually you do get seasoned to it. And nowadays I look at a rejection email and I'm like, yeah, okay. And I just send off the piece or whatever it is I had submitted to someplace else. And if I get multiple rejections on something, then I try to look at um, revisit, maybe let's say it's a story. So I'll revisit the story and I'll see if some changes are to be made. Sometimes I'll do that with the first rejection as well. So like I don't believe for a moment that the one that I have submitted for the first time is should be the final and nothing can be changed there. So I do follow that. Okay, let's see before I send it off again, unless and until I'm 100% sure about something, unless and the before I send it off the second time, I will have a look at it once, at least once.
Have you ever thought about how a short story can become an outline for a bigger story? So say that you get a rejection, so you go back to that story and you add bits and bits and bits. And then what some writers do is they use feedback to make an even larger story. And eventually they have a book because they use that short story as kind of an outline to sketch out more and more and more and kind of build a world. And that was one thing I wanted to ask is, have you thought about doing that? Something like that?
Well, I have not written any stories that, you know, if even if it's rejected, the stories will not really, I mean, the feedback that I've gotten, I don't see it going into a bigger version. But I do have started a few projects, which initially, when I started them, I thought this was going to be a short story, but I realized that, okay, no, this is novel material. So currently I am juggling through a few things. So I have not started working on the novel, but yeah, it's something that will happen surely.
Oh, that's good. With your talented details, I'd really like to read a book of yours. That's why I brought it up.
Thank you.
So on that note, was what was the first story you wrote? Was that published?
So I think this is a twofold answer for me. Technically, the first story I ever wrote was during my school days, and there's a there's a history to it. So in our English classes, English exams rather, we had to write a attempt a 30 marks worth of, they used to call it composition. So they had different choices for the topics, and it was usually, give arguments for and against XYZ or something like this, or something very generic. And in the end, there used to be a story prompt. They used to give a first few lines, and then they used to say that, complete the story from here. And instinctively, I always went for that line. And I think that's when I started writing stories. And I used to do that in an instant within the exam hours. And obviously, those stories never got published. But later on, I think after law school, after completing my bachelor's and master's in law, when I came back to writing, I first thing I started to do was I started to self-publish on different platforms. So essentially, you could say that, yeah, they are published. Uh, and later on, when I started sending out to magazines, I think the first story that which I mentioned that got rejected and I did not write or submit anything for 6 months, that story never got published. I have to rework it again. So yeah.
Well, writing is a process of trial and error. Sometimes that kind of stuff can just be something that inspires you to write something else, as
Yeah.
rejected stories. But you can try and eventually they'll get accepted. I had one like that where I tried for 7 years and it finally got accepted. And
Oh.
but that's just because I had a rule when I was doing it, which was anytime a story of mine gets rejected, rewrite it and send it somewhere else right away. Or yeah, it was kind of like that. But that's for people who are obsessed with it. You, as a lawyer, you probably don't have enough time. So
Yeah, when you're building a career, it's a bit of a mess.
yeah, definitely. Would you like to share some of your social media links with viewers?
Absolutely. So I am very active on Twitter and Instagram. And on Twitter, it's at Tejaswinee RC, TEJASWINEERC. And for the Instagram, it's Tejaswinee and then Roychowdhury just at once. Roychowdhury is ROYCHOWDHURY. So yeah, you can just type in my name and find me. I am the only one with such a name, so it's easy to locate me as well. And yeah, I'm on Facebook as well. And again, with my name, I'm the only one there. So
Uh, Before we started talking, you said that Tejaswinee meant something. What was it?
yeah, beauty of lustre.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So I hope that viewers remember and hit you up on social media. Thank you.
Thank you.